Wait. A toast. A toast to, yes, long friendship. How hungry you must have been. Now, for a little surprise. For a special occasion I've been saving. Cigars.
Gene Hackman is remembered as one of Hollywood's greatest actors, a performer who could disappear into any role, whether as a hardened cop in The French Connection or a haunted lover in The Conversation. But when it came to comedy, Hackman was rarely given the chance to show his lighter side. That changed with Mel Brooks' 1974 classic Young Frankenstein, a film that reimagined the monster movie genre with loving parody and wild humor. It was a film bursting with unforgettable moments, from Gene Wilder's manic brilliance to Marty Feldman's mischievous physical comedy. But one of its most surprising stories happened behind the scenes when Hackman decided to appear in the movie not for a small fee, but for absolutely nothing. In a career defined by strong performances and serious paychecks, how much Gene Hackman got paid for Young Frankenstein, or rather didn't get paid, is one of the most jaw-dropping stories from Hollywood history. A friendship that sparked a classic scene.
Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in?
And you won't be angry?
I will not be angry.
Abby someone.
Abby someone. Abby who?
Abby normal.
Abby normal.
Don't inhale until the tip glows. Wow! Wait! Where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
By the mid-70s, Gene Hackman's career was at its peak. Fresh off his Oscar-winning role as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection and acclaimed turns in The Poseidon Adventure and The Conversation, he was one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood. But at the height of his fame, a casual tennis game changed everything. Hackman was close friends with Gene Wilder, who was co-writing and starring in Young Frankenstein with Mel Brooks. During their match, Wilder described the film's comedic twist on the classic Universal horror movies, and Hackman, tired of playing grim, intense roles, expressed a desire to try something funny. When Wilder relayed this to Brooks, the director was astonished. Hackman, known for his gravitas, wanted in on a slapstick monster comedy? Brooks eagerly agreed, and the result became one of cinema's funniest cameos, Hackman as the lonely blind hermit who befriends Peter Boyle's monster. What made the appearance so remarkable was Hackman's motivation. He refused payment and even declined screen credit, joining purely for the fun of it. He wanted to laugh, experiment, and surprise audiences who knew him as a serious actor. Brooks later marveled at Hackman's precision and timing, recalling how his total sincerity made the absurd scene even funnier. With trembling hands and earnest delivery, Hackman's blind hermit felt like a tragic figure from another movie, and that unexpected sincerity made his performance unforgettable. The funniest scene in the film.
Forgive me. I didn't realize you were mute. You see how heaven plans. Me, a poor blind man, and you a mute. An incredibly big mute.
Young Frankenstein's blind hermit scene quickly became one of the movie's standout moments. It begins as a parody of a classic sequence from Frankenstein, in which a gentle old man befriends the monster without realizing who or what his guest really is. Hackman plays the hermit with touching sincerity, inviting the monster to share bread and wine, praying aloud for the Lord to send him a friend. It's a setup straight from an old Universal picture, but within moments it devolves into chaos. Hackman's comedic instincts were sharper than anyone expected. He poured soup directly onto the monster's lap, smashed a bottle of wine over his head, and attempted to light his cigar, only to set the poor creature's thumb on fire. Every beat landed perfectly. What made it all even more incredible was Hackman was improvising. His timing was natural, his reactions genuine. And when he delivered his final line, "Wait, where are you going? I was going to make espresso," the cast and crew completely lost it. That line wasn't in the script. Hackman came up with it on the spot. The crew laughed so hard they ruined several takes, forcing Brooks to use the first one because it was the only version where no one audibly broke down in the background. Hackman himself reportedly couldn't keep a straight face afterwards. The result was one of the most quotable moments in the film, an ending so perfect audiences still talk about it decades later. What made the cameo even funnier was Hackman's complete absence from the credits. Moviegoers left theaters wondering who the mysterious blind man was. It wasn't until later that people discovered it had been Hackman all along, and the revelation only deepened their admiration for the actor. Mel Brooks' old school ingenuity.
If you deal with tyrants, dictators, what have you, and get on a soapbox and indulge in rhetoric, you're going to lose. That's why those guys are there, because they know how to sway the masses. But if you can take the mickey out of them, if you can make fun of them, if you can make them ludicrous, if you can make them ridiculous, you can tear them down.
Yes.
So therefore, Springtime for Hitler or the producers does just that. Don't break wind. Don't do that. And I said, we'll handle it later. We'll put that sound in later. And then in the cutting room, we put soap under all the editors and myself and anybody who wandered in. We'd say, here's a bowl of water and soap. Put it under your armpit. And, and that's how we did it. And we made wonderful sounds. So that there was never a smell.
Behind the camera, Young Frankenstein was a masterclass in both creativity and resourcefulness. Mel Brooks wanted the film to look and feel like a genuine 1930s horror movie, and he went to extraordinary lengths to achieve that authenticity. During pre-production, Brooks tracked down Ken Strickfaden, the man who had designed the iconic laboratory equipment for James Whale's original Frankenstein and its sequels. To Brooks' amazement, Strickfaden was alive and living quietly in LA. When Brooks visited him, he found that Strickfaden had all the original machines, the sparking coils, spinning dials, and massive electrical towers stored in his garage. Brooks immediately struck a deal to rent the equipment, offering Strickfaden the credit he'd never received in the earlier films. The result was nothing short of magical. The equipment lent Young Frankenstein an air of eerie authenticity, making it feel like a genuine descendant of the original 1931 classic. It was in this meticulously recreated setting that Hackman's blind hermit scene came to life. The combination of old-school craftsmanship, classic lighting, and Hackman's modern comedic energy created a sequence that felt timeless. The humor was rooted in the clash between reverence and absurdity, a serious performance in a ridiculous world. Brooks later said that Hackman fit perfectly in because he treated the material with total seriousness, which was exactly the secret to Mel's brand of comedy. Even the film's stars contributed to that spontaneous atmosphere. Marty Feldman's Igor famously began shifting his hump from one side of his back to the other without telling anyone. The gag went unnoticed for several days until someone finally caught it on camera. When Mel Brooks realized what Feldman was doing, he decided to keep it, writing it into the script as an ongoing joke. Madeline Kahn's ad-libbed line, "No tongues," during her bedroom scene with Gene Wilder was another spur-of-the-moment addition that made it into the final cut. The film thrived on that kind of freedom, and Hackman's cameo fit perfectly within that playful spirit. Hackman's reputation and the paycheck he didn't take. By 1974, Gene Hackman didn't need Young Frankenstein to prove anything. He was an Oscar-winning actor and one of the most respected names in Hollywood. But it was precisely that success that gave him the freedom to take risks. According to Mel Brooks' autobiography, All About Me, Hackman's decision to do the movie for free wasn't just rare, it was unprecedented. Actors often take pay cuts for passion projects, but Hackman's choice to work without a paycheck at all was unheard of for someone of his stature. Hollywood insiders at the time couldn't believe it. Here was an actor commanding hundreds of thousands per film, showing up to play a small, uncredited role in a black and white comedy. But that was the beauty of it. Hackman didn't care about prestige or credit. He just wanted to make people laugh. Brooks later said that Hackman's enthusiasm was contagious, bringing an unexpected spark to the set. His performance also helped change how audiences saw him. Until that point, he had been typecast as the tough, gritty everyman. His turn as the hermit revealed a side of him that fans rarely saw: gentle, self-effacing, and hilarious. Critics later called it one of the funniest surprises of the 70s, precisely because it felt so out of character. The fact that he did it purely for fun only added to the legend. The Legacy of Young Frankenstein.
Love is the only thing that can save this poor creature, and I am going to convince him that he is loved, even at the cost of my own life. No matter what you hear in there, no matter how cruelly I beg you, no matter how terribly I may scream, do not open this door or you will undo everything I've worked for. Do you understand? Do not open this door.
When Young Frankenstein premiered in December 1974, it was an instant hit. Critics praised it as Mel Brooks' masterpiece, calling it both a loving homage to the original horror classics and one of the funniest movies ever made. Gene Wilder's performance as Dr. Frederick Frankenstein was universally acclaimed, and the supporting cast, Terry Garr, Marty Feldman, Madeline Kahn, Peter Boyle, and Cloris Leachman, delivered one unforgettable moment after another. Yet, amid all the comedic chaos, Gene Hackman's brief appearance stood out. His scene lasted only a few minutes, but it became one of the film's most quoted and beloved segments. Fans would recite the espresso line for years, and many cited it as the perfect example of how comedy can emerge from total sincerity. Hackman didn't wink at the audience or play it for laughs. He played it straight, which made it all the more hilarious. Gene Wilder later said Young Frankenstein was his favorite of all the films he made. It wasn't because of its success alone, but because of the camaraderie and joy that surrounded the production. Now it's time to hear from you. Was it a surprise to you that Gene Hackman was in Young Frankenstein? Did you know he did it for free? Let us know in the comments section below.